Green light, they're away.
And they're all in their positions, ready to go. There's the light up.
In true Mildura stock.
The green light's on. It was a beautiful start.
He's trying to get across.
Hello, welcome to Burning Questions. June 26. Can't wait for the racing ahead at Melton on Saturday night. 9 races in all. The first to go at 5:19 p.m. 3 guests, a couple of veterans. I think that's the right word, and a fresh-faced man from Sydney who doesn't make a lot of appearances here at Melton, nor on Burning Questions. But welcome to the show, Cam. Really appreciate you jumping on, and I reckon you're going to have a pretty good night on Saturday night.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. Thanks for having me on. And yeah, can't wait to get back down to Melbourne. Melton's been a good track to me, so hopefully we can have a bit more success on Saturday.
I reckon Nutrien Finals night was the last time you were down here?
Yeah, it was. So sort of didn't get the result I wanted that night. But in general, Melbourne's been pretty good to me. And yeah, I really like the style of racing and obviously the quality horses down there. It's great opportunity to get down there again.
Was it an easy decision, Cam, to come down here and forego some drives at home? You know, was it obviously the quality that you've been put aboard would help make that decision for you?
Yeah, for sure, Tim. I couldn't really pass up the opportunity with these horses, especially with the races that are coming up over the winter time. So, just had a sort of week-to-week kind of book here at home, and thought I'd take the opportunity and get down to Melbourne.
Good stuff. Andy Gath joins us. Andy, when are you making the pilgrimage up to Queensland? Sometime in the next few days, I imagine?
Yeah, probably head off next Tuesday morning, I'd say. Considering the weather here the last few days, I felt like heading off a couple of days ago.
Yeah. Who's in charge, Jordan Leadham or Peter Thompson?
Jordan will think he's in charge, but it'll be Peter.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And just before I go to you, Daz, Andy, have you confirmed the fleet or the team that you're taking to Queensland, or does a bit hinge on Saturday night at Melton?
Yeah, it probably depends how they all perform Saturday night, and the ones I got in, I expect them to perform well. But if any of them go below their best, they'll probably stay at home, but I expect them all go pretty well.
Welcome in, Darren. Carroll. Daz, over your left shoulder there, what's that little thing on the corner of the wall there? Can you enlighten us there? I don't think I've noticed that before.
It's just a copy of a quaddie ticket reminiscing from Brisbane Winter Carnival. So I do enjoy the Brisbane Winter Carnival. A couple of years ago, I was lucky enough to go up there, and they had a big jackpot quaddie, and I snared a share of it. And we wrote the quaddie numbers on the back of a coaster at the Breakfast Creek Hotel before the first, and so I've kept it as a bit of a memento. Yeah. And
I reckon there'd be a handful of people that would remember that night pretty well, Daz. Wasn't just you.
Yeah, there's about 6 of us in the syndicate. So, we had a good slice of the quaddie, so it was a really good night.
Good stuff. And you're heading up, Daz, at all? What's your plans for Queensland?
Certainly hoping to go up for the final. I'm going up for a bit of a quick road trip with Alex Ashwood. He's taking Prison Artiste up on Saturday morning, so it's going to take a couple of days to get there. So just keeping LB company on the long trek. So quick trip up there and then fly back, and then hope to get back for the last week.
Good stuff. Well, no doubt you'll be driving the last few hours, and LB will have the CC and dry
CCs.
cans out. Yeah, he doesn't mind them. Good stuff. Let's get stuck right into it. APG's National Mixed Sale is back again and coming to you twice in 2025, with the online auctions taking place in May and August and featuring weanlings, yearlings, stallions and broodmares. These two sales really do have a horse for everyone. Find all the details at apgold.com.au. Bay's got the front row gate, but can Tex sprint past him late. Race 1 on the card is the City of Melton free-for-all. We're talking about the clash between Bay of Biscay for Emma Stewart and Cam Hart, and Catch a Wave, Andy Gath and Kate Gath. Of course, there's plenty of other horses in there, but they're the two fancied runners. Having a quick look at the market, Bay of Biscay currently $1.75 or thereabouts. Catch a Wave $3.60. Mickey 2 Success at $4.40. Double figures the rest. Daz, we're going to be watching from the sidelines, but watching on with interest. What do you fancy here? I think the map maybe leans toward Bay of Biscay, but he's up in this sort of grade for the first time, up against the big season free-for-allers. Has he got it in him to win it?
Yeah, I suppose from a map point of view, the key race is probably the 4-year-old Bonanza. I know it's a little while ago, but the draws are pretty similar. So Mickey's Success drew the pole that night and was able to keep through and lead, but Bay of Biscay was 3 quarters of the way across that night, and then the big boss kicked up through the middle and he worked at the lead. Based on that, I'm pretty confident that the speed between Mickey to Success and Bay of Biscay would probably mean that Bay of Biscay finds the front, and that means a significant advantage to me. Look, Andy will probably tell the same, but Catchaway's couple of trials has been as good as I've ever seen him trial. So he's in unbelievable form based on his trials. It's just a matter of, they might just run an unbelievable time and he could be, super in defeat or super winning. So I think the market should be closer together. I don't have him $1.70 and $3.60. I've got him sort of $2 and $2.40 type thing, and just gone leaning towards Bay Biscay purely because of the map. So if I was forced to bet into the race, I'd probably be forced to bet the map again, but it won't be a big betting race for me.
Yeah, I sort of agree. I think the market's maybe a touch unfair towards Catch a Wave. We'll go to you, Cam. You're driving Bay of Biscay. You've got a great affinity with him. You won last start in the Chariots of Fire. He's been probably one of your favourite ever horses. Maybe not the number one, but right up there.
Yeah, he's definitely right up there. He's been a great horse to me, and drove him in the Derby at 3, and then he's had a great 4-year-old season. Obviously run that second in the Eureka as well as a 3-year-old, and the Chariots of Fire Carnival put up 2 massive miles at Menangle and was very impressive. So really do have a soft spot for the horse for sure.
How do you see this race panning out? You'd love to get to the front. Do you think that's likely on Saturday night?
Yeah, I sort of agree with Darren. I think, the Bonanza is probably a good race to look at, and I didn't really have plans that night to come out of the gate, but he sort of naturally got out probably half a length quicker than anything without even asking him, and it's probably just those runners in between us that cost me getting to the fence that night. And Saturday, I think, it's probably only going to be Mickey to Success and myself probably coming out really hard, and, I like my chances of finding the front. I think, that'll aid my chances of trying to beat Catch a Wave, that's for sure.
Yeah. You fancy your chances, Cam? Like, you think he's a really good winning hope, and, if you got to the front under, without any ridiculous pressure, you'd be disappointed if he wasn't able to get it done?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's a huge hope. Just with the draw, we know, a Melton mile race is pretty hard to get into the race if you're back in the field. So if we can sort of get up on the front and sort of, try and, control the race and run the sectionals that we want to, I think he'll be very hard to beat. But obviously have a lot of respect for Andy's horse. He's looks very sharp at the trials, and, he's won over $2 million for a reason. He's a superstar horse, so he'll be hard to hold out.
Andy, we'll go to you. Catch a Wave. I'm tipping he's the best of your 3 chances, isn't he?
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. As everyone knows, he's come back really well since Perth. His trials have been A+, and so's his work. So it's in great order, but barrier draws, they can cruel you at times. So, it's going to be difficult. Bay of Biscay's a quality horse. We know how good he is. He finally won a big one in the Chariots. He's placed in so many big races and probably been the best performance in the race, but not been able to win them. So, it's his first run back. My bloke's first run back too, and first time Bay of Biscay's taken on the free-for-allers, but does drop away a fair bit depth-wise, so there's not a lot of, meat in the race, to be honest. So I think Bay of Biscay will find the top. If he finds it too, fairly cheap, it's going to be hard for my bloke to win, but he'll run a great race either way. So, looking forward to the race and looking forward to heading up to Brisbane with him. Yeah,
for sure. Just a quick word, Andy, on Hector and Tango Tara. Hector drawn 4, Tango Tara 7. No chance at all that you'll instruct your drivers to use them early at the start?
Well, Hector's only sort of got reasonable gate speed, and he probably doesn't go as good if you use him early. So he's first up. He'll just be looking to slot in somewhere. But Tango Tara, he'll probably go forward. He probably got no chance of crossing, but I'd say he probably worked for it from the start rather than going all the way back to last. So we don't think it'll be a super fast first quarter. So we thought if Tango, can work forward, he could probably run a place if the tempo wasn't that strong.
Okay. Good stuff. Great look at that race. It's the first one on the card. Melton on Saturday night. Pride's Easy Feed stands as a proud supporter of the harness racing industry with their set recipes and quality ingredients to give the trainer confidence in what they're feeding. So make the switch to Pride's and start getting the result you've been chasing. Let Her Roll's last Melton win was one to behold, but can she do it again in the winter cold? We're talking about race 3 on the card. The Waste Sense Mares Pace, Let Her Roll, Emma Stewart, Cam Hart here. I'll hold you to last here, Cam. I'll go back to Daz. Andy's got the 7 here in the cooler. Daz, let her roll. I remember that. You remember that win at Melton there. Going back, it was incredible. I know it was in sort of company that she probably should have beaten. She was a pretty firm favourite, but the race did not pan out for it all. Then she went to Sydney and had a couple of runs. I don't think I've seen a trial since those runs in Sydney.
No trial, which is unusual considering the amount of first uppers that Emma's got in for the night. A vast majority of them have trialled, but this girl hasn't. So, but I'm not ever concerned about that with the Emma Stewart runners. They always come to the races rock hard fit. So I certainly wouldn't be worried if you wanted to back her first up. Look, was dominant as a 3-year-old. Her 3-year-old record was impeccable. Other than when she went to Sydney, she was a bit below what I would have expected of her. There's big raps on Sweet Ideal, but she's probably more of a fast horse than a strong horse. And the horse that's really improved is Jazzy Malia with Aaron Dunn. And if you look at the front row, it's probably the likely leader. And if it is the leader, then it could give a bold showing in front. They wouldn't want to underestimate her. And then you've got a horse like Jillaby Illuminate as well for the strong Lee camp. So it's not a gimme for Let Her Roll. She has to be top pick. She'll be favourite. But do I want to take the short odds? No thanks, not from the draw. So if I was looking at a value play, I'd probably go Jazzy Malia each way.
Okay. You thought Jazzy Malia would get the front off Scotty Ewan. You better not.
Well, it's over 22.40. Yeah, okay, maybe not.
But
certainly
going to be up on speed.
He can control the tempo anyhow because he'll be up on the speed. So
Yeah, a tricky race. Good race too. Andy, quick word on the cooler. I think I spoke my last memory of talking to Kate in the pre-race, and Kate basically said, "Don't even figure her as a chance whatsoever." Is that still the case here?
Yeah, from that wide draw, it's probably going to be a little bit difficult for her. Hopefully, she went through a stage there where she wasn't scoring up, but she's been pretty good lately. We had to scratch her a couple of weeks ago. She had a bit of a cold, so she'll need this run. And so she's a place hope only. But Cam's drive Let Her Roll. She's a quality filly. 1 8 out of 12, which is not easy to do this day and age. So she's definitely won the beat. But there's enough horses there with plenty of ability that it won't be easy for her. And I wouldn't be rushing into any short odds. But it's definitely won the beat. But there's 3 or 4 real good winning chances to my mind.
Yeah. Cam, Let Her Roll. What are you thinking here? It's not easy from that draw, but I think she's the class in the race.
Yeah, I thought so too, Tim. I was stoked to pick up the driver. I know she's quality filly and probably just been a little bit unlucky her last 3 runs, even though she did win that race at Melton. She was had to be brilliant to win it, and then went up to Sydney and just had no luck at all. Like, she was probably one of the favourites for the Oaks and didn't end up making the final just out of bad luck. But looking through the field, I obviously don't know the form probably as good as you guys in these sort of grades, but I thought she was clearly the best horse in it.
Yeah, I went with her on top. I've lost Cam there. Hopefully we can get him back. But I went with Let Her Roll. Sweet Ideal, Daz, just quickly before, hopefully we'll get Cam back. Sweet Ideal, maybe not a horse that backs up week to week, because she was a touch disappointing last time, I thought.
It was interesting, Toc, when you interviewed the Darryl Lawler post-race when she was so impressive winning 2 starts ago. He said he was going to back her up the next week, but he did give that vibe, didn't he, that he didn't know whether she'd be able to back up. And they did go really quick early in that race last time, and whether she'll sort of run off her feet a bit, and that took some of the speed out of her. Maybe the 22.40 will suit her a bit better as opposed to the 17.20 where they might balance up and make it a bit of a dash home. But, there's no doubt about her brilliance. But, I agree. She was probably slightly below her best last time.
Yeah, and I think if you looked at the times, I think that I can't remember, but I feel like her final quarter was probably a second off what she produced when she won. I know Jazzy Malia went good in front, but I think she probably still could have won if she ran up to what she did in that win. Got Cam Hart back here. I was happy to move on to the next question. That's all right, no worries at all. But the third question, this one's basically for Andy to answer for us. Logical Staffing Solutions provide labour hire and recruitment services to the transport, warehousing, automotive and manufacturing industries. The logical solution for your staffing needs. Andy, what's the go with Miss Yo?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, she's been in Australia for over 6 months now. Yeah, when she sort of travelled over, she was sort of a little bit out of form in New Zealand. She was doing things wrong, so we gave her a bit of a break and brought her back. And she's only had the one trial, and she trialled nice. She works like a really high-class metro horse. She's doing everything right at the moment. So hopefully, yeah, if she gets it all right, she won't be far away Saturday night. Like, she's not a superstar, but she's a quality mare herself. She's won about 4 or 5 races at Addington, which is not easy to do. So we expect that she's going to go pretty well there Saturday night.
Okay, so as you said, works like a good horse, like an Imperial Command or something like that.
Yeah.
Not that good, but but some of the others there she can sort of hold her own with.
Okay. If she doesn't win Saturday night, are you disappointed, or are you giving her, is this a tricky race first up?
A little bit tricky. Again, she hasn't raced for a long time. Yeah, I don't think she's a horse that can sort of go and dominate a race, go and sit outside them. She would just probably come to one run, and if we get her back in the draw, she does have, pretty good gate speed as well. So yeah, she can win, but I don't know what odds she'll be, but she's not an odds-on chance.
Okay. Marked here is 220, so it's not your best bet, Andy, was the vibe I'm getting.
No, it won't be.
Okay, good stuff. Cam, any opinion here? If I gave you $100, would you throw a dart at one of these in race 7?
Yeah, I wouldn't have too much clue on the form, but I'll go with Andy. He's a master, so we'll stick with him. Yeah,
$100, Miss Yo. Daz, you've got an opinion here? I thought Mitchell Rapp was sort of some sort of chance. I feel like Mitchell for Geordie Lens maybe been racing in a bit better grade against some bit better company than some of these, and maybe at the price, $8 quoted here, might be an each way play.
Probably not as good the last couple of runs as what it had been. If you go back a couple of months ago, it was in really good form. Dichotomy's in excellent form and had been racing against good opposition as well. You had 2 starts back. It was second to Snoozer's good horse, the Aldebaran Crux. And it's going into Dominion, and then last start, I know it had a nice run, but it won pretty softly. So it's clearly the one to beat, I would have thought. Michelle would just be good to see how she gets around first up. That trial, she's got in the trial was Got Feelings, and it's an interesting run in race 6 because its trials, if you go back and have a look at its trials, it's been unbelievably super this time. So it's a really interesting runner of the night. So that's just a bit of an extra one there for you.
Yeah, we'll get to the best bets later, but if you're kind enough to avoid Melton, Daz, maybe I'll go with that one. Hey, let's move on to the 4th and final question. Cam teams up with one of the Dans, so will Night Fury be winning some fans? And I reckon we're talking about the last race. We are race 10 at 10:13 p.m. Night Fury, Dan, Cam Hart, and Emma Stewart. Andy, I'll go to you here. Show me the tan lines. Adam Kelly trains out of your property. Kate's taking the drive. This horse, it's got a great record. I think is it still locked in for the Proto Star at this stage?
Yeah, no, he is. I think he's due to fly out early next week. Yeah, his first couple of trials were probably a little bit below his best, but his last trial was better again. So, yeah, he had a little bit of a low-grade virus there and is starting to get back to what he can go like. But, yeah, he's got the barrier draw. Cam would have seen him firsthand up there at Menangle when he won. So, yeah, he's a really nice horse, but there's a lot of nice 2-year-olds in this race. It's a pretty even race, and even the first starter's been trialling well as well. So, yeah, he's got the barrier draw on his side, but, I think he want to perform pretty well to be going, but at this stage, I'm pretty sure he's still going.
Yeah, okay. Daz, I'll go to you here. I must admit, I've seen him trial better. And that's been nice. I think he could have trialled better, and I'd be a little surprised if he won this, to be honest. Show me.
I think it probably set itself a high bar, Tim. Like if you look at the trials before I went to Menangle, and then the Menangle win was brilliant, really.
Yeah.
When you look at it and beat a handy field quite comprehensively. So. Yeah, the standard was set, and then I suppose when we saw it back at the trials this time in and hasn't been anywhere near as brilliant as what it was, then you probably think, well, how's it going? But I suppose wait until we see it at the track. But has got good gate speed, does look the leader, and if that's the case, then it does get the advantage. The Ballarat race was an interesting race where Emma Stewart had all those horses in it, and so Brooklyn Dan and Night Fury Dan and Max Almighty all come out of that race. I thought there wasn't a great deal between Brooklyn Dan. It sat 1 out, 2 back. Night Fury Dan sat 3 fence. Night Fury Dan was making ground on Brooklyn Dan in the straight. But yeah, I was probably had a leaning to Brooklyn Dan. Sitting behind the leader was my map. And if that was the case, then on its Ballarat run, that's the way I wanted to go. But not ultra confident because I'm just not sure how the pole horse will go.
Yeah, I agree with you with that. That I went back a run further, Daz, with the 2 Dans, and in that Nutrient final, he led and was pressured and pressured. Yeah. I thought he was much better. I thought he was a really good run, Brooklyn Dan. So I'm going to go with Brooklyn Dan in a really tricky race. Over to you, Cam. Night Fury Dan. I reckon you drove. Did you drive Cardigan Dan in that Nutrient final?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. So, headed down there for the Nutrient series. I know these horses well, and I know Emma and Clayton had a big opinion of Night Fury Dan, along with Cardigan Dan for that series. He's just a little bit probably below his best in that final. The speed was on for him and he just sort of didn't finish it off. But, I thought his first up run back at Ballarat was, had plenty of merit. He had a soft trip, but he was closing in a really quick quarter. So, yeah, I think, he's a good hope, but, he's got the toughest draw too. And obviously Adam's horse looks like it's got really good early speed and when it's at its best, run a really good mile at Menangle. So, it's probably going to be tough from the draw, but I do think he's a really nice horse.
Yeah, for sure. Great race. Looking forward to that one. Race 10 at 10:13 p.m. Sharps Bakery are proud sponsors of the Best Bets segment, Cam. I don't know if they were sponsoring last time you were on, but you wouldn't have been to Birchip before, would you, for the annual meeting in March?
No, I haven't. I've heard a few stories about it, but I've never been there.
You might have seen a few videos and pictures too over the journey. Let's go to you for a best bet. Are you going to put the pressure on yourself or throw it someone else's way?
I might go with Let Her Roll. Really excited to get behind this filly, and I do think she's the best horse in it, and can probably be driven multiple ways too from the bad draw. So I think she'll be a top chance.
Okay, good stuff. Race 3, number 11, Let Her Roll for Cam Hart. Andy Gath, your best?
Well, I have got it written down, and I don't know if you can see that, but it's got Feelings You Know as my best bet. But I don't know if you're going to follow me. If you do,
no, we can go together.
Okay,
we can do that. Or are you worried that me tipping it as well might really put the moz on it? That's what you're saying, isn't it?
Well, it generally does.
It is.
So it's got Feelings You Know for the reasons of the trials you've been impressed with.
Yeah, all the trials have been fantastic, and was a quality horse. I think he could have won his first 4 or 5 in a row. So he's a really nice trotter on the way up.
Yeah. Okay. So race 6.
I think was even entered for the Inter Dominion off the top of my head. So, so that's how highly rated the horse is.
Yeah. Race 6, number 3, Got Feelings You Know. I'm going to go with it as well, Andy. It's just such a hard night to really find some value. Emma's going to have a lot of short price favourites that have got really good chances. So trying to find something that's probably not going to be ultra short. And Craig Rail, the form judge here, has rated Got Feelings You Know as a $2.50 chance. So best bets, me and Andy teaming up. There's a first for everything, Andy. Let's hope we're exchanging a thumbs up over the text on Saturday. Darren, Carroll, are you going to play at Melton or is this card a little bit tricky for you here?
I'll stick clear. Like I did have Got Feelings You Know as my best at Melton, but I'll let you guys go there. There's no sense us all going in the same direction. So I'm going to go Mildura. Mildura Friday afternoon. Race 1, number 2, Evoca Blues. It's caught my eye probably the last 3 starts. I think it'll find the front. If it finds the front around Mildura, 2100 is probably a little bit susceptible. I'd rather at over 1700, but I reckon I'll get the job done.
Okay. Scotty Garraway still got that one?
Scotty Garraway and Luke Dunn to drive.
Okay, good combination. Great stuff. Mildura for Daz. Hey, Cam, thanks for jumping on. Good luck Saturday night. I'm not part of the coverage, so, look, I'm not going to be envious of you going around at 10:13 p.m. in the cold at Melton, but have a good night anyway.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Thanks for having me on.
Good on you. Andy, thanks for jumping on.
Not a problem. Bring a big jacket with you, Cam.
Yeah, will do. See you there.
And Daz, good on you. That's been Burning Questions here on June 26. Join Bronte Newenberg for all the coverage on Saturday night at Melton.
Green light, they're away.
And they're all in their positions, ready to go. There's the light up.
In true Mildura stock.
The green light's on. It was a beautiful start.
He's trying to